Hello, I'm John, and this is my friend Charlie. Yeah. What? Why am I dressed like this? Oh, I'm in training. Yes, I'm in training for the Olympics. As you know, the Olympics have been cancelled or postponed to next year. But so I thought if I start training now, I might be an Olympian. I could join the Olympic team next year. Is that a good idea? No. Oh, why not? Because you're too old. I'm too old? Oh, how rude! No, you really are too old. Every day I am training. In fact, I've been training for 5 hours every day. Yeah, that's amazing. No, Charlie, not 5 hours. But I've been training for 5 minutes every single day so I can be ready to be an Olympian, a champion athlete next year. Is that a good idea? No. Why? Because you're too old. Oh, that's very rude. No, champion athletes, Olympians, they start when they're really young and they have direction. They know what they want out of their life and they start to train and they start to practice and train hard until eventually they become super amazing athletes. Wow, that's amazing. But you're too old. Oh, Charlie, you keep saying that. You're too old for the Olympics, but you're not too old to enjoy sport. So keep training and get fit. And hey, if you want to be a champion athlete, you have to start young. Hey, Charlie, actually starting young, having direction, being focused, that reminds me of, well, when our world was a mess, God came. And God didn't come as a grown-up. He came young. He started young. He came as a little baby and then he started to grow. Oh, and there's a lovely story in the Bible about what Jesus was like as a little boy. Let's watch it. Good idea. Okay, bye.
Do we know much about Jesus when he was a boy? Yes, there is one story. Jesus was 12 years old and he and his family were going on a sort of holiday. We're all going on a summer holiday. Well, it wasn't summer. Off to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover feast. That's when all the Jews remember how God rescued them from slavery. And as a 12-year-old boy, that would have been a very special age. Your parents would have almost certainly have taken you to Jerusalem so that you could take part in the celebrations. Wow, sounds really exciting. Of course, it would have been a long journey, but lots of people all travelled together. And the journey would have been like part of the holiday. Children playing games, swimming and cooling off in the River Jordan, passing through the great cities like Jericho. Wow, sounds so great. And then you'd see it in front of you, the huge city of Jerusalem. And there, the magnificent temple. Inside the temple were lots of religious teachers telling stories about how God had set them free. And there was a huge feast. It would have been a great time. But of course, all great things come to an end, and all the people who had travelled from Nazareth would have travelled back together. But that's when they realised he was missing. Who? Mary's son, and Joseph's son, Jesus. Where is he? They panicked. They'd thought he'd been playing with the other children, but he hadn't been. Yes, he was missing. But of course, in one sense, there's no need to panic. After all, Jesus was their son, but he was also the Son of God. Remember what the angels have said? Emmanuel, God with us. But of course, it was easier for his parents to forget who he really was. To them, he was their little boy, lost and alone in Jerusalem. So they went back to Jerusalem and they searched for day after day. Then suddenly they may have heard something like this. Let's go and hear that new religious teacher. Yes, he's amazing, and he's only 12. Could it be? Yes, it was their son, Jesus. He was chatting to all the religious leaders, and they were amazed. Jesus seemed to know God and the scriptures so well. Well, of course he did. He wrote the book. Jesus' parents gave him a bit of a telling off for making them so worried. But, of course, they'd forgotten that he was the Son of God. We've already been through that. They didn't really understand. Jesus explained how he had to be in his Father's house. He meant his heavenly Father, God. He wanted to be close to God and discover what God wanted him to do. For the time being, Jesus needed to live with his parents and carry on learning Joseph's trade, being a carpenter. He obeyed them. This was all part of his training, helping him to get ready for the work that God had for him to do. And Jesus grew both in body and wisdom, gaining favour with God and with people. the first book of Timothy, chapter 4 verse 7, says keep yourself in training for godly life. In the first book of Timothy, chapter 4 verse 7, says keep yourself in training for godly life. In the first book of Timothy, chapter 4 verse 7, says keep yourself in training